Alright, so the first question would be, how did you find out about Osu?
So back in 2011, I think 2010, I used to play CSS with friend Zach, and yeah, he told me about the game. Told me would make my aim better. Kind of did, I guess. I think a lot of people get into Osu that way, but yeah.
Alright. So the second question would be, what's the skill set that you care the most about in Osu? And that would be like, do you most care about speed or stamina or aim? Like, what's the most important to you?
Probably accuracy. Like in my opinion, all the skills in the game are pretty much tied to accuracy, like how well you are at them. Like if like okay, how do I word this? Like even when you rate someone's speed, if someone has a play on a 270 BPM map and one guy has 99 and the other guy has like 92, you know, like the 99 play is like significantly more impressive, right? Even though they're both speed plays, it all still comes down to accuracy, right? So I think in my opinion that's the most important in the game. It really determines, like, to me, like who's the best players.
Okay, so the third question would be, how did you come up with the name Azer, and were there any other names that you had before that?
Hmm. Well, I'm not gonna talk about the names I had before that, but yeah, there was this League of Legends team in season 2 called Azubu Frost that went to Worlds, and I was like, that sounds nice. I kind of twisted a little bit, called myself Azer Frost, and eventually I just dropped the Frost because it looked nicer in the game. And I don't know, it's a name I've wanted to change for a while, like at some time, because it's hard to get in many places. Like whenever I would register for a new game or whatever, I would just call myself like Azer. I would never be able to get that word because there's the French keyboard layout that instead of QWERTY, it's AzerT or AzerT. And so because of that, like every fucking website in the world has Azer already signed up as like a spam name because of that. Like kind of like every website in the world has QW like Quer signed up as a name. So I it's very hard for me to get that name anywhere. But like it's been 6 years I've been using it now, so
Yeah, it's
I don't
hard to change.
yeah, it's hard to change. Like people recognize me by that name, so I don't really want to change it. So I
Uh,
guess it's fine now. And I've been able to slowly get it in the places that I want. You know, I was able to get it on Twitch, which is nice. So
Alright, so the next question would be, who did you look up to when you started playing the game? And are you still looking up to those people, or have those names changed?
yeah. Oh boy, this is a really long time ago. So it's hard for me to remember fully. But I think maybe three people. No, I don't even know if I can name three people. I can at least name a good friend of mine called Lane, not the American player Lane, but the Canadian player Lane, who's now banned. Used to be fucking speed monster. Used to be really, really, really good. A lot of people that are newer to the game uh, don't really know that I used to be one of those players until I got injured. So I used to do a lot of like DT, not necessarily like streams, but just like fast-paced maps. Um, and it was almost entirely due to him. He was really, really good at that kind of thing. Uh, he's actually just to use this opportunity to talk about it. So he was banned in 2014 for too many silences. I think I think he just pissed off Zalius or something. like like it's really old now. I think he's trying to get unbanned. So I don't know, he may come back to the game soon. I really hope he does because I think to this day he's still absolutely my favorite player.
And
Uh,
I was just wondering, what kind of injury was it that stopped you from playing DT more?
uh, I never figured out what it was exactly. Like back then, I was kind of just like it's RSI, but every time I like checked with a professional, uh, nobody's told me it was anything serious. Like obviously, I was feeling a lot of pain whenever I was training. Right, it was serious. Right, like I couldn't play any other game for like a week if I pushed myself too hard. So obviously there was something, but I don't. apparently it wasn't any kind of RSI, so I don't. I still have that problem today. Actually, I just don't know what it is.
All right.
So there's something with my hands. I don't. Basically, I can't. I can't push my limits, if that makes sense. Like if I use them too much, yeah, it hurts for like weeks afterwards.
And that
Can't
isn't
do anything.
hindering you at the moment, I hope.
No, because I haven't pushed myself in a long time.
Yeah, alright. So the next question would be, you mapped maps before and had them ranked and loved. Was there anything that you learned from mapping that you found useful in gameplay?
Ooh. Probably recognizing patterns, I would say. Like there's when you don't map and you look at a map, all you see is like visually the patterns. You don't really ever think about them. You don't go like, oh, he mapped it like this because the song goes like this. Oh, he used this hit sound because he wanted to emphasize this sound, you know? So I think learning how to map and learning how to understand all those little things that mappers do that aren't immediately obvious to people that don't map, that's helped me be able to predict, I guess. Like when I know a specific mapper uses this technique to emphasize this thing, I know he maps like this. I understand exactly what he's going for. I know what he maps like. Next time I play a new map of his, I already know that pattern's going to be there. I already know, like, oh, when I see the start of that pattern, I can predict what the rest is going to be. So, I that's probably the best thing. I don't think like learning how to map has that much of an impact on you as a player. To be honest, I think it's more detrimental actually.
Because you would maybe expect one pattern to appear after the another, but it doesn't happen, so your aim is
Exactly.
kind of weird.
Yeah, you would expect things to be done in a logical way, and that doesn't always happen. So, like, especially if you play on-rank maps, and then you predict them you predict them in a way that makes sense, that has a good logic, and then, you know, it doesn't. There is no logic. It's just objects on the screen. So it's actually harder. Like as a result, but ever since I learned how to map, there's a lot of on-rank maps that I just cannot play anymore. Like if they're like objectively bad maps where players normally wouldn't mind because they're still fun, I can't enjoy them anymore because I spent all of my time just being like, what is this? Why did he do it like this? This is so bad. He could do this so much better, blah blah blah. And I can't focus on playing. So
Yeah, okay. So the next question would be, you've played Osus for like 6 years, and what changes have you noticed around Osu that like affected you as a player and that affected the community as well?
I would say before the game like exploded in popularity in like 2013, 2014, I guess. Way before that, it was really small, and because of that, it was very tight knit. You knew everyone that was online pretty much. Like you knew everyone that was playing the game, so it was very friendly. It was very like reputation was super important. Like if you did something bad, community was so small that in like 2 hours later, like everybody knew you did something bad. So like nobody would talk to you anymore, right? So because of that, everyone was super nice. Nobody did anything bad. Like it's a very different time compared to today. Like I shit on the community of today a lot. It's just like, it's mostly because of that. Like, it used to be
Because it was better back then, because everyone knew each other, so there was less bad stuff happening.
Yeah, it was probably, I would say it was the best online community I've ever been a part of. Like a couple of years ago, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. Now since the game has grown, not so much. It's pretty. It's not like it's that bad, but you know, it's I don't know. People are more mean. There's you lose that sense of family, I guess, that the community used to have. Like I used to go online and then look at everyone online in the top 1,000, and I would recognize every single person that was online. I knew who they were. They were my friend, and they were everyone's friend. And nowadays, I open the press F9. I open the list of online top 1,000. I don't recognize half of it. It's just I don't know who these people are. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just old, but I feel like it used to be a lot better.
I mean, that's like the big city versus small city effect. Like, the big city, no one knows everyone, so you might get away with some bad stuff that you do, but in a small city, if you do something bad, then everyone knows it, because everyone knows everyone there, so you know, it's kind
Yeah.
of that. So, the next question is, you've played Standard Mode, Taiko, and Osumania. Which one did you like the most, and why did you like them the most?
So I play a lot of rhythm games, and I talk all the time about how I don't feel like Osu is much of a rhythm game. It's in reality mostly a aim game. And I also talk a lot about how Mania is basically a butchered version of other similar games to Mania. So I would definitely have to say Taiko. Taiko, I feel like is very rewarding to play. Taiko is like it might be a little hard at first, but as soon as you like learn how to play a new pattern and you become consistent at it, and it's very 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 satisfying. It's very rewarding. You're like, holy shit, I just hit that. I'm so fucking good at this. And it's like the only thing that matters in Taiko is rhythm. There's no other. There's nothing else. There's barely any like. Well, okay, there's some reading, but you know, there's no like aim or whatever. Like you look at a top play, in Osu Standard, and it's like, okay, some guy hits like full screen single taps. Cool, you know, it's
Yeah,
like there's not much
yeah.
rhythm. It's like, yeah, it's impressive, yes, but it's like 99% aim, you know.
It's
And you
impressive,
look
but
at
it's
a
not what the rhythm game is. It's not based on the rhythm, it's just aiming. And who can
yeah,
aim the
and then
best.
you look at Taiko, and you look at some of the shit like people like Applers are doing, where it's just like, okay, well this guy is accurately alternating at OD11 300 BPM streams and complicated rhythms and different beat subdivisions, you know, like, oh, he's doing fucking 1/6 triplets in a 1/4 stream at 300 BPM, and the whole time he has like 99.8% act. It's just like, yeah, you don't have that in standard. That's just not a thing. So I think Taiko is much more rewarding to me because it feels like it's much more of a rhythm game compared to the other game modes, where there's much less of a sense of rhythm into them. They're still like good modes, but that's not as present.
Yeah. So the next question would be, do you think that any other rhythm games are superior to than Osu?
Oh well, I kind of just answered that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but what, like, what would you say is missing from Osu that would make it like a superior game than it already is
I
right
also
now?
kind of just answered that.
Oh, okay.
The thing is, yeah. So I mean, I'll answer it again in a different light, but yeah, Osu doesn't have much of a like reward for rhythm for good rhythm ability. Like the game doesn't rate it properly. The community doesn't really rate it properly. Like the community doesn't care if you did like a sick act play on like an easier map that has hard rhythm. Until like somewhat recently, where people started talking about like tech stuff a little bit, but yeah, most other official rhythm games, especially Bimani games, so like 2DX and Simultex and stuff like that, are honestly better in every way except for how inaccessible they are. All of those games not only have official content, and you know like key sounding stuff like that. There's a much more, like I said, there's much more rhythm inside the game as well. I think Osu, like if you compare it to all of the other rhythm games that exist today, it's not very high in terms of quality and like enjoyment. It's not very high. It's not the worst, but it's not very high.
I mean, would you
But
recommend someone to play Osu or another
oh
rhythm
yes,
game?
I absolutely would, because just to finish off what I was saying, Osu is by far the most accessible rhythm game right now. It's extremely easy to get into for fucking anyone, right? So it's a very good way to get into rhythm games. I often call it it's like a gateway rhythm game. So someone will start playing Osu, they hear about Osu, they'll start playing standard, like, okay, it's pretty cool, and they'll look at the other modes, they look at Osu Mania, and then they're like, wow, Osu Mania is pretty fucking cool. I don't have to aim, you know, there's a little bit more rhythm, it's more about speed. There's good songs. Oh, what's this song from? Beat Mania 2DX. What's that? What's this song from? BMS. You know, and then they start exploring other rhythm games that Osu borrows their music from, and then they get into them as a result. And so I like to call it a gateway rhythm game.
So this is just a follow-up question. What game would you recommend for someone to go play after Osu? Like, you play Osu, like you said, it's the gateway rhythm game. Like, what would be the next step? What's the next most accessible game for them to play, which you would
Yeah,
say is
so
good?
unfortunately, there's a big barrier of accessibility. Like a lot of, in my opinion, the best rhythm games that we have out there right now are arcade only, right? So it's very hard for 90% of the people that know about them to get into them. So unless you live in Korea or Japan or like select locations in America, then you're not going to get to play those games. So it's a little hard to answer that question, but if there's one that's accessible, I would probably say check out Eterna or like Stepmania. If you like Osumania, in my opinion, it's just the same game but better.
Alright. So we are gonna move to the next question. Would be, how did you get into the tournament scene, and what was your first tournament like?
Right. So I don't actually remember exactly what my first tournament was. Like for some people that follow me, I keep like a tournament history thing on my user page, and there's one that's missing. I haven't been able to find it since. It was this one super random, terribly organized tournament in 2013 where I barely even remember. I just remember it was 7 people, because back then multi lobbies were capped at 8 players, right? So it was 7 people playing in a multi game, and then only like 4 of those would advance or something. And I think I got to finals or something. I don't remember. It was too long ago. But yeah, that was my first tournament. I don't remember the name or who was playing in it, but it was really old. It was really old and really bad. But my first proper tournament would probably be OWC 2013, where I don't know. I think I saw the news post back in 2013, and I started messaging Canadian players. Back then, I think it was like top 10 Canada or so. I wasn't that good. Yeah, I started messaging people. Like nobody gave a shit. Like nobody was like, yeah, nobody's making a team. Go for it. So I made a team. It was pretty funny. Like we didn't really do anything, or like we didn't do that well. But it was actually I had Fun Orange on that team, and it was the only tournament he played for like 4 years after that. He never played a tournament, I think, after OWC 2013. It was the only tournament he played. Actually, Lane, who I talked about earlier, was on this team. And funny story, actually, just like kind of a very memorable moment for me. The best thing I remember that I'll always talk about my experience in OWC 2013. So it was at the time the absolute best team was Japan. Japan shat on everyone. Like you could not beat Japan pretty much, right? And they ended up winning that year, I think. I don't remember. I think it was either Japan or Korea, but yeah, Japan was really good, right? And that's the very first opponent we had in groups. We got grouped with Japan, and our very first game was against Japan. And keep in mind, everyone in Team Canada has never fucking played a tournament before. Like we were all like terrible. Like nobody was good at the game. And then we play against Japan, which are favored to win the entire tournament. And we play the first map, which was it's a map from 2DX Strike Row, and we won. We won our very first map in OWC versus fucking Japan. We won it. That video is still somewhere on YouTube. I still watch it every couple of months. It's amazing. And then yeah, obviously we lost like every map after that. But that was like that was a very memorable experience. Like over the last 6 years that I spent in this game, that was probably one of the most like memorable moments I've had on the game. That was a ton of fun.
All right, that's actually a pretty cool story. Especially it's like you won the first map and then you got crushed afterwards, but it doesn't matter because like you won a map. You never
Yeah, like
played
nobody
them.
would ever expect these random 4 Canadians to take a map off Japan.
Yeah, especially because they were like a super strong team.
Yeah.
Alright, so The next question would be, how did you come to the idea of making tournament teams, and what are your experiences with them?
Oh, um, so I don't remember how I got to that point, but back in 2014 or so, we had a team called Burst Limit. I don't remember like how we created Burst Limit or how I got invited to it. I don't quite remember, but it was basically it was 5 Koreans. So it was Neta, HDHR, Sinya Pacifica, who recently finished Army, um Chio, and Enon, and then it was me, Kitty, and Broccoli, and that was Burst Limit, and that was the first like serious team we had back then. What was really cool is back then the tournaments were not very common, so you wouldn't like nowadays if you're a tournament player, you're pretty much playing like 4 or 5 different tournaments every single weekend, right? There are so many tournaments nowadays that there's like it's overwhelming. But back then there really weren't that many. There were maybe like 4 or 5 team tournaments per year, right? So every time it was the same team signing up. So there was some sort of rivalry, right? So we had Burst Limit, which I was a part of. There was Arse Crackers, which was like White Wolf, OMG4s. I don't quite remember. It's been too long, but it's like mostly European players. There was there was a third one. Fuck, what was it? Anti-Beat, I think. Anti-Beat, which is an entirely like long story, but yeah, there was like a third good team, right? So there was like there was
So,
3 really good teams at the time, right? So
so it was like
people,
team versus team rivalries basically in every tournament.
yeah, like one of the things I guess I'll just skip forward to today and talk about Rubber Conquest a little bit. One of the reasons why we still play together is we kind of want to revive that. It's really fun to see the same teams with the same players every tournament, and like rivalries being formed and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, we lost last time, but you know, this time we'll get you. You know, it's like that's not a thing anymore because people kind of just make random teams and it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah,
But
it's not like a continuous effort of them to make a team and like go ahead and like win tournaments and make a name for themselves. It's just like a one-time thing, I guess.
yeah. So back then with Versummit, which was one of the 3 top teams, uh, it was a great time. It was a fucking great time. There were people doing like fan art. I could probably whenever you post this, I guess if I remember, I'll post some of it in the comments, or some people can. Like extremely nice fan art of our team. Like very 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 nice fan art. I forgot what the joke was, but there was a thing about being bus drivers. I think we accidentally called it like a tournament organizer accidentally called their team Bus Limit once. So we're like, yeah, I'm the bus driver or whatever. And then people like made a bunch of art about buses. It was really weird. Like we had a comic about us. It was like, I don't know. It was a great time. It was a fucking great time. The thing though is it was 5 Korean players and 3 NA players. So if you're one of the NA players, like time zones kind of fucked you over in the ass. Like if you wanted to play on this team, you were playing every tournament at like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. You know, like there was no way like you know, like you had to be nocturnal to just play on this team. It was too much, right? So I kind of got tired of that, so I left that team, and then kind of dabbled around in different teams. I tried playing with some Canadian players, but at the time, it's different now. People are very good in Canada, but at the time, people weren't. So I didn't have that much fun. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna make my own super team. So I made TBD, which was eventually Team Nothing, which was I don't know. It wasn't really a serious name, but that was the name of the team. It was mostly like it was like Toy, Vaxi, Xarius, Wairu, Firstus, and Dust Dice, and then we like swapped around some players sometimes. And that was a ton of fun. The thing though is nobody in that team tried. I was doing everything, right? So I would do all the preparation. People would show up not prepared. People would show up to like a grand finals match and then being like, "Yeah, I'm sight reading this," and you know we'd lose.
Would you say that that annoyed you because you actually prepared and no one else did, or did you like
Yeah.
not care really?
Yeah, so it was fun for a while because yeah, the team was really good, but like nobody did anything. Nobody really cared. So like for example, there's this tournament recurring every year called Gotta Aim Fast, and 2 years in a row, my team TBD lost to Floating Up, which was old Burst Limit. It's the same Koreans. So the 2 times in the grand finals, we lost to Floating Up because we just weren't prepared. Like I tried to do as much preparation as possible for my team, and then people like didn't really give a shit. So, and it's fine. A lot of people do that, but I wanted a team that gave a shit, right? So at the time, there was another team uh, called Content is Hot, I believe. I don't know what they went by back then, but it was basically Monko and Apraxia. And yeah, we kind of like merged the two teams we kind of merged the two teams together when we signed up for OHC at the time. We called it Sign Me Up, and we had Musty and the Poon on them as well. But yeah, like Sign Me Up for OHC was fucking great. Everybody tried. Everybody like did pulled their work, practiced everything. Like it was very organized. It was a ton of fun. Probably that tournament was probably the most fun I've had like ever in OSU tournaments. So we kind of decided to make that like a full-time team, which became Rubber Conquest, which a lot of people seem to believe that it was just a team made to be stacked, but that was never actually true. Like it wasn't never our intention. Rubber Conquest is just a team of people that can play at a high level that actually try and put in the time to like practice and perform. So, and it's been pretty successful. I guess that's where we are now. It's a great time. For a lot of people don't like us because we win a lot, but yeah, that's pretty much my experiences with tournament teams.
Alright, so I was just wondering, this isn't a part of the questions, but do you have any opinion or thoughts about people like Digital Hypno? Like, I don't have anything against him, but a lot of people do. And, like, do you have any opinion on him or like what he's doing?
This is really dangerous because I can
Yeah.
get very, very easily mad talking about this because here's the thing. Here's the thing, okay?
Look, if you don't want to talk about it, if
I
you,
do want to talk about it. It's just
I
like
won't include it if you don't want me to. Just saying, like you can talk to me like this, like personally
no,
about
no.
it.
I'm gonna talk about it. Here's the
Alright.
thing. Digital Hypno is without question the nicest guy in the tournament community, and anyone that participates in tournaments will tell you this exact thing. There is no contest. He is literally the kindest guy you can ever find, right? So seeing all these, sure, what he does is questionable, like the whole winning 4-digit tournament thing, but the thing that a lot of people don't seem to realize, or like people in the tournament community realize this because it's kind of like a meme at this point, but people that don't participate in tournaments don't seem to understand this. And like, here's the thing: the people he beats in the other 4-digit tournaments are people exactly like him. There are honestly like 20 other 4-digit players that are also like quote unquote sandbagging and like keeping their rank low. There are many people doing the exact same thing, and nobody ever gives them shit for it. So why should Hypno get shit for it if he just happens to be the best of those? All of the people that he beats in those 4-digit tournaments, none of them actually complain. None of them do. Like everyone he beats, they all go, okay, well he's just a better player. Like he's really good. I lost because I'm worse than him. That's it. So, like, I've come to notice over time that all the people complaining about that situation are people that aren't even in his rank bracket. They're people that aren't going against him. They're people that are just hearing the situation and just being mad at it, and just being like, "Wow, what a fucking asshole!" Like, I don't, I'm ranked 15K. I don't ever go against him, but what a fucking asshole, And so a lot of people are like giving him a lot of shit for it, and like they're painting him in such a bad light, which he doesn't mind. I don't know how. I wish I had that tough of a skin. He doesn't mind, but I do. I really do. He is, like I said, he's the nicest guy you can ever fucking imagine. He is so hardworking. Just for tournament, like I'll let you know something. In the Rubber Conquest Discord, which is where we always play our match, we have a channel called Schedule. In the Schedule channel, the only posts ever are Digital Hypno making our schedules for all 6 of us. all 6 of us. He goes through every tournament that is currently on, goes through the schedule for all of those tournaments, and gives us all our schedule manually. Nobody ever asks him to do this. Nobody ever like he just does it because he feels like it. That's just how nice he is. He does it because he wants to, and he wants to help others, right? And so he doesn't mind a lot of people giving him shit, but I do. He's so fucking nice, and people like seeing people like trash him, like honestly just hurts. Like it hurts my heart, man. Like he doesn't mind it, but man, like it's so wrong. Oh, it's so wrong. I hate it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
he helped me personally. Like, I was compiling some questions for someone for the same interview series we're doing right now, and he actually helped me out. It was for Rafis. Yeah, it was for Rafis, and he actually helped me. I gave him a list of questions, and he actually wrote up, like, fixed all of them, added some new stuff, and we talked about it. And he's in my Discord, and we like talk about shit. You know, he's a really good guy. Like, I don't see. Like, just because he's doing that, like, I agree, it's not really, like, moral of him to do that, but at the same time, as you mentioned, there's a lot of people who do the same shit, and just because he's the top ranked one, he gets the most of that, like, hate. But others, others might deserve either as much hate as he gets, or, like, people should just realize that this is an issue with the game and not with the players.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so moving on to the community questions, we have the not so hot topic, since it's been a few weeks since this has happened, but what's your opinion on Azer's ego, the Twitter account, and it being shut down because of harassment?
Yeah, so I used to have I shouldn't say it like this. I still kind of have a big ego, but it's not as big. But yeah, how do I explain this? That account used to be very accurate. Okay, like he would tweet things that I would never like. I've been friends with Chippy for a long time, right? Chippy's the one running the account, so he knows me very well. I know him very well, and so there's a lot of things he would post that I would never talk about to anyone. This is some things that I would just think in the back of my head. I would never talk about them. Yeah, I would just think them sometimes, like, and then I see that on the Twitter account, and that's really funny to me. That I think I would think that's really funny. So the Twitter account used to post a lot of that, right? So it was very accurate. It was very funny. It was a very good parody account, and it would like I think having self-humility is really important if you like want to do anything online or anything that has any like relation to the public, or else like just look like your butt hurt all the time. So having self-humility is really important. So personally, that account was great because it would like help me stay more in line, it would help me like control my ego, basically. Like anything that I find on that account, I was like, okay, yeah, that's kind of dumb. Maybe I shouldn't say that, or maybe my ego's flaring up a little bit, right? The thing
So,
is,
sorry for interrupting you. So you would say that that account kept your ego in check, like if to give you a
Yeah.
reality check.
yeah, for a long time. So it was great for that. I love that account, and it's honestly like it became an honor that an account like that had 4,000 followers. Like holy shit, 4,000 followers care about a parody of me. What? Like that's pretty crazy. So I was totally fine with it for a long time. I supported it too. It was I laughed at the account. It was great. But then I don't know, like mostly in recent times, I'm not as relevant in Osu anymore. I don't really uh I I I shouldn't say it like this because it doesn't like come off the right way. But I don't have an ego anymore, right? Like I don't say things that are extreme anymore. I kind of just play the game, and I talk all the time about how I'm washed up and I don't play the game as well anymore. And every time someone's like, "You're so fucking good at the game, Azer. Like you're like so good at tech." Every time I'm like, "No, I'm not." Like there's like Azerite and Vaxi and Badu now. Like like these people are better than me. You're giving praise to the wrong person, right? So I don't really have an ego anymore, right? So Chippy didn't really have anything to tweet. So he would like, I don't know, like he had some questionable ones that like basically they stopped. I stopped being able to relate to them. It was like the Twitter account became about like painting a persona of who I am instead of like a parody of who I am, you know. So it was trying to like force the yeah, I'm the best fucking tech player in the world. I don't know, like that's just one of the examples, right? Like it was trying to like force things that I didn't really do. Like it just became like a bad parody.
So you just
It,
kind of got told because you've grown up and you don't have as big as ego anymore, so it's
yeah,
not
so
really
the
as
account like
relevant.
didn't have a purpose anymore. So, but he kept going. But I don't hate him at all for it or anything. It's not his fault at all. Like some of the tweets, like to be honest, were still funny. It's just that I didn't really relate to them anymore. So yeah, then people started taking those in like the very wrong way, and every time I would post something or every time like I would say anything positive about myself or whatever, people were like, wow, Azer's ego. Like I don't know, it's just like it became I'm not sure how to word this, but it became kind of used as harassment, not by Chippy or anything. It's just like a lot of people were uh thinking that the posts on the account, actually funny story, so I started playing Beat Saber recently, and the Beat Saber community has been very supportive of me getting in the game, and they've been very kind, very helpful, right? And one of the top players in the game, I I searched my name in the modding Discord where a lot of Beat Saber people are talking all the time, and my name came up, and it was a top 5 Beat Saber player quoting an Azer's ego tweet, thinking it was me. And I was like, "What? Let me see if I can find which tweet it was about. Hold on, real quick." Okay, so there's this tweet called this is the tweet. Beat Saber is a bit too easy for me. There's no maps technical enough to put my real skills to the test. Probably gonna come back to Osu on second thought. And someone in the top ranking Beat Saber community thought that was me, and I said that for real. So at that point, I was like, okay, maybe something needs to be done. Maybe it's time. You know, like the account doesn't have a purpose anymore.
So did you go directly to Chippy about it? So like, did you affect
Yeah,
the
I
closing
didn't
of that
directly.
account, or what did he
Yeah,
do it
I didn't
because?
directly ask him to like shut it down or anything. I was just like, yeah, it's kind of dumb how, you know, people are like using it as harassment, and he felt really bad. Like I think he at that point he started realizing it too, that he's like creating a tool for harassment pretty much. So I'm very thankful that he took it down, and you know, maybe if one day I stop being washed up and I have a big ego again, then you know he can revive the account and I'll be happy with that. But for now, it's like, yeah, it's not good. It
Oh.
shouldn't be there.
So let's continue with the Beat Saber part. So someone asked, do you think you can reach number 1 on Beat Saber?
No. Beat Saber is extremely physical. If you, in case you guys don't play the game or you're not familiar with how the scoring works, for now, it might be changed in the future, but for now, you have to do extremely wide swings, essentially. Like the technical details is that you have to do 150-degree swings every time for max points, right? So every note you hit, you have to do a 150-degree rotation with your wrist or your arm or whatever, right? And the maps that are at the like top level of the ranking for Beat Saber are all stream stuff. So imagine Freedom Dive, which is one of the top maps in Beat Saber as well. So you have 222 BPM streams of going down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up. You have to do 150-degree swings for optimal score, which is extremely fucking hard and physically demanding to do at 222 BPM. Like the scoring system in Beat Saber does not really work for custom charts, which is what people are ranked on right now. So that means the people that are at the top of the game right now are not people necessarily who can read the best or whatever. It's literally who can do the wider swings at the fastest speed. That's what Beat Saber is right now. So yeah, no, I don't have that in me. I don't have the wrist for that. That's fucking insane.
Alright, so the next question would be, and I asked you this a few days ago in text, will you ever make a follow-up to the discussion video or make a new discussion video?
I get this a lot actually. but I've tried a couple of times, but I've just never really found a subject I want to talk about or I can talk about for like longer than a minute. I don't know. I just run out of things to say. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this isn't enough for a video, so I guess I'm not gonna make it. You know, I've
Mm-hmm.
tried like I don't even know, like maybe 8 or 9 times to make another one, and it just never really happened. So yeah.
Also, a question that is kind of related to this is, what is your opinion on the current state of players and their skill sets? As a few years have passed since your famous "Are new players headed the wrong way" video, do you think that changed, or is it even worse now?
Uh,
I mean, you
Part of
said
that.
in the description of that video that you do not agree with all points that you made back then, so you know, that's kinda understandable. Just wanted to
Mm,
mention that.
well, every time I talk about that video, I end up talking about how that video has a very valid point that I did not explain properly. Which was that people don't really care for rhythm and they only care for points, and that means they end up just becoming aim players, right? So they're kind of like in the video, I think I called them whack-a-mole players or something. And you look at the rankings today, and what do you know? What's rewarding the most right now? Aim players, high approach rates. Yeah, that's the game right now. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like that's like if you're someone who joins the game today and you're like, I want to become number one at Osu. What gets you to number one at Osu? Fucking aiming like 10.3 and higher stuff, as you know, Sotarks maps, whatever, maybe Space Streams, Air 10, whatever, right? Like, that's what people look at and they're like, okay, that's what I gotta get good at. So people play that, and in my opinion, that's very shallow gameplay. It gets boring real fast. Personally, this personal opinion, I think aim gets old real fast. Like, it's not very rewarding in my opinion. It's more punishing than rewarding if you try to go for those scores, because if you just miss once, like you're fucked, right? So it's the reward for that type of gameplay is very low. It's not very fun. So people burn out on it. Like most people that farm in the top 50, they'll have like a couple of days to like farm those maps, and then they'll just straight up quit the game for like a month because it burns them out so much. It's not fun. Uh, and so the point, just to like stop rambling because I'm talking a lot. The point I was trying to make in that video is that like, yeah, if that's something you've been doing, and you're not having fun with the game, then stop doing it and do other things. There are other things to do in the game, and that's kind of what I was trying to get around. And I was trying to like, make people start playing maps for fun. You know, like maps that have funny rhythm. Maps like playing hidden forces you to play maps to their rhythm. So I was like, yeah, play hidden. I didn't really explain that point properly back in the day. So people thought I was like, yeah, fucking DT sucks. DT is boring. Don't play DT. Play hidden. Big brain mod, dude. Alpha gamers play with hidden. No, but like, yeah, the point of that video, like, just to sum up, I just talked a lot about a lot of random shit, but yeah, just to sum it up, is that like the video is still accurate, as in like people are kind of just playing whack-a-mole today. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but
It's just not what you want to do.
yeah,
Not what you like.
it's not the same game that like I think is it's not the same way I think is the best way to have fun in Osu, which is to uh, explore all of the game's content and all of the ways to play the game, right?
Mm-hmm. Alright, so let's move to the next question. Would be, if the PP algorithm shifted to favor tech maps more heavily, would that incentivize you to farm? If not, if there is anything that would make you do it?
I don't think so.
So you just don't wanna invest that much time in like farming anymore. You just play for fun.
Yeah, farming's not really like my point of it. So in 2015, I peaked at rank 10, and right now I'm like 96 or something. Like, I've been there, done that already, right? I've already been top 10. So if I farm now, which is very frustrating to do in this current meta, and very unrewarding and very easy to burn out on, like I said, what's the point? Like I might for a week or two, like maybe a farm, yeah, I go from 96 to like 70. So what? I'm still so far away from my peak, you know. Like it doesn't really matter. I don't really care about ranking up personally. So, but to answer the other part, which is if the algorithm like favored tech map suddenly, I don't think that's gonna happen like ever. So it's too hard to do. It's very hard to make a system that properly recognizes like complicated rhythm. So
Alright. So someone asked, what's your opinion about Score V2?
Score V2 fixes like every problem that Score V1 has. It is a fantastic score system. It is absolutely perfect. The problem with it is that it's nearly impossible to implement in the base game. Because what the fuck do we do with like what 11 years of Score V1 scores? You know, it's very hard to like try to force Score V2 upon people because yeah, in my opinion, it is absolutely the best. The best score system, like no contest, right? So Score V1 doesn't really value accuracy unless you have a full combo. So it becomes entirely about combo. One thing I want to talk about too is that most rhythm games that cap their scores, it's very easy to talk about those scores, right? So, for example, on Sound Voltex, which caps their scores at 10 million, Sound Voltex also has like the difficulty scale in Sound Voltex also goes from 1 to 20. So it's very simple, 20 being the hardest. So if you're like, I got, I got 99 million, 9.9 million on an 18. You know, I got 990. You know, that's like nearly a perfect score. That's the information you get. You know, like by yeah, I got 990. That's very very close to max score. So you know that's almost a max score. It's probably a full combo with like a few like like a few like nears or a few like hundreds or whatever, right? You could say the exact same thing on a level 11, which is piss easy, and you would have the exact same information about that score, right? And same thing on Osu. Like, I got fucking 990k on, I don't know, image material. That's fucking fantastic, you know? That's almost an SS on image material. Or, yeah, I got 990k on, I got 990k on, I don't know, a 5-star map. You know, it's like the point I'm trying to do is that it communicates how good the score is. Whereas in Score V1, it's like, yeah, I got 13 million. What the fuck is 13 million? What's the max score? You know, it could be 13 million out of like 200. You don't know. You don't know. Like the score is just like a random number. Whereas in Score V2 and any score cap system, so also Mania works this way as well. You know how good the score is based on what the score is. You know, yeah, 900k is pretty good. 500k is like pretty trash. You know, it's just like it's you know instantly. Doesn't matter if you know the map or not. Doesn't matter how hard it is or not. You know exactly how good the score is. So that's one aspect of Score V2 that nobody ever talks about. Like obviously, like it's great that it values accuracy a lot more. But that's one point I really wanted to talk about is the fact that it's very easy to identify how good a score is just based on the score itself. Anyway, yeah.
Alright, so I'm gonna start wrapping this up with some short questions with, the first one would be pudding, vanilla, chocolate, or something completely off the wall? Which is, yeah.
I don't eat pudding.
Oh, well, alright. So, what's your gamer snack of choice?
I don't know, man. Fuck. Twizzlers? I don't know. I don't really snack that much.
Okay. Your opinion on the current top 10/top 50 compared to before? You don't have to you can just answer it short if you want to.
I think it's not like they're bad. Everyone is an aim god in the current top 50. That's how I see it. Everyone is just absurdly good at aim, but like if you play tournaments and stuff like that, you realize very, very quick that ranks do not matter because ranks right now are evaluated on aim, and aim is rarely a factor in tournaments. So,
alright.
compared to
Another question would be, what genre of music do you normally listen to outside of Osu?
J-core, J-trance, lo-fi, some jazz. Mostly it. I don't know. I listen to Liquid D&B as well a little bit, mostly for nostalgia purposes.
Alright, this is a weird question, but perfectly straight sliders or slide curve?
Yeah, that really depends on the song and how the song is interpreted. There's no best answer to that.
Alright, so the last question would be, how viable is playing Tap X as a gameplay style currently?
Huh? That's a. So currently, if you mean like ranking wise, we're starting to see a lot of space streams. The hardest thing to do with the TapX playstyle is space streams. So nothing even comes close. Every other aspect of gameplay is easier than to do space streams. So it's not the best, but I mean, you still see some TapX players like climb up ranks slowly. Like you see, Doki is getting good. He's getting some pretty impressive scores, like pretty fast scores. No, but yeah, in terms of like ranking, it's dumb. You shouldn't do it if you only want to rank up. That's not the best style right now.
Alright, there's another question. I don't know if you wanna answer because I don't know, it's gonna be either super long or you can just answer it super short. But it's how did you go about learning to read in OSU?
So yeah, I'll keep this short. I could talk about this for a long time, but I'll keep it short. I have a very extensive musical background, so I've played years and years and years of instruments. I've written music as well for years and years and years. So it's very easy to pick up on rhythm in rhythm games because most of the time it's very simple. So the rhythm aspect of reading is like second nature to me. Like I can sight read just about anything that OSU Standard can present to me, and I'll have no problem with it. But if there's one tip that I could give to people that don't have that ability, it's to play easy hidden. Easy hidden absolutely forces you to play by the rhythm and to play with rhythm prediction. So like with easy hidden, when you see an object on screen, you're like, I have no idea when this is visually. It's so fucking slow. I can't read this. So it's probably at this time in the song. So I'm gonna tap it at this time. That's the way I read. So like normally, if you just play like a normal approach rate or even just normal hidden at a high approach rate, you'll see the note on the screen and oh, it's fading. I should hit it now, with no like relation to the song at all, right? Like reading, I call that reading visually. When you play easy hidden, you cannot read visually, so it forces you to learn how to read rhythm better and like predict rhythm in the song. So,
all right. So thank you for the interview. If you have any social media or like anyone you want to shout out, you can like go ahead. I don't mind.
I think I'm good. Yeah, I just want to shout out to Lane. Hopefully he gets unbanned. Like I just mentioned, I would it would make me so happy. It would make him so happy too. I know a lot of people in Canada, especially, that are very inspired by him and his play, and it's kind of sad that he's still banned today. And I'm pretty happy that he finally is showing some interest in OSU today. So I hope he can come back and have fun with us again.
All right. So if anyone wants to, what's the best way to keep up with you? Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter. My Discord as well. It's pretty much the only two things. Yeah. Obviously I stream, but it's not. Every time I stream, you'll know on Twitter or Discord. So.
All right. Okay. Thank you for the interview, and I hope we get to talk again soon. It was really nice talking to you, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
No problem. Have a nice day.
You too.